In this quick video, we're going to look at the menu on the side here, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do. We're actually going to skip over the middle section and come back to that in a separate video. This is the basics. Remember, we're just getting you acclimated to Photoshop. It's not meant to give you a lot of detail, and the high-end tricks we'll get to later. So, for now, you can move this picture all over the place. They have their own little X's and subtract, the minus to minimize and maximize buttons up here. So these are on their own. We already went through the crop tool and we just simply drew out a shape, double clicked on it, and we cropped it just like that. On the top, I'm going to skip a lot of buttons that you're not going to use, but this button allows you to move things around. You click on it, you can move it. It won't let us move it right now because this layer is locked. We'll talk about layers later on. It's hard not to talk about it now because Photoshop is based on layers, and that's a really important thing. But if I double click on this layer, I can give it a new name. And notice the lock goes away. Now I can move this thing around by using that tool. If I don't want to do that, I can go up into the history palette and I can go backwards. And so one thing that you really should know, these are all called windows. Everything over here is a window. So if I lose my menus over here that I want, they're actually windows. They're all over here, okay? And I can reset this and I can go back and get it all set up again by adding things here. But that's important. Essentials, if I go to Workspace Essentials, all the stuff that is up right now will come back. So just so you know, if you lose all this stuff, accidentally exit out or whatever, you can get it right back under Windows. The next tool is the selection tool. This whole first block of tools are selections. And so if I click on it, you can see there's a little triangle in the corner. Click, hold the mouse button down. It gives me what's under there. So I have a rectangle, an ellipse, a row, and a column. I'm just going to stick with the rectangle and make a rectangle. I drug it out. I can click on it, move it around, and you notice that just the marquee, these marching ants here, they look like little marching ants. That's what most people refer to them as. Those you're going to move around because you're still in the selection menu. If you click on the move tool, you can move it around. So that's important to understand too. If you're getting frustrated because what you're doing is not working, it's probably that you're in the wrong tool here. The next one is also a selection tool, a little more powerful. The lasso tool allows you to freehand draw a shape. It can exit, and that's what you've got. The next one is the polygonal tool, which means basically is connecting the dots. Wherever you click, creates a dot, and it will connect the dots. When you get close, this is where most people get frustrated. They try to connect the ends, and they can't. If you double click, it automatically will connect the ends for you. The next one, all the way down to the bottom of this, is the magnetic lasso tool. Really cool, awesome selection tool. It basically allows me to just follow along the edge of something, and it bases it off of contrast and color, and it's going to pick up the edge of what it is that I'm trying to select. Again, you can drag the two ends together and it will complete the selection, or double click it will complete the selection. It works the same as the other ones once you have your marching ants going around there. And so that's a really cool tool. Next one, and again, I'm skipping a lot of details here because this is an overview. Your next one is the magic wand tool. Click up here, and it's selecting a whole chunk of similar looking pixels. If I can change the tolerance. If I make it, say, 5, it's not very tolerant. I click right there, it's fine. I click right here, I'm only getting a little tiny thing. If I jump this up to 55, now it's much more tolerant. When I click, anything that's a similar shade is getting picked up. And so, just so you're aware, you can change the tolerance. There's a lot of things I'm skipping here. That's okay, we'll get to it when we get to more advanced things. Under the eyedropper tool, there's a couple of things. One is a simple eyedropper. Ooh, I have all this selected and it's really annoying, so what I can do is I can go up to selection and go down to deselect, or if you notice all these little shortcut keys, I can do Command D or Control D depending on which type of operating system you're working under. and then the selection goes away. If I click on the red barn, watch what happens to this black color. That's the foreground color. It turns red. So now I've selected this red color over here. It became my foreground color over here. If I wanted it to be the background color, hit this arrow, it flips it. Hit the arrow again, flips it back. If I want to reset it to black and white, I click on the reset button and I'm back to the beginning. But that is a very, very helpful tool. There's another tool under there that you'll probably not use called the color sampler tool. I'm not even going to go into it because most of you won't use it as beginners, and it'll be a more advanced function. Ruler tool measures things. Notes you'll never use, and count tool you'll never use until you're an expert, and then you won't need this video. So we're not going to talk about all that stuff. The next thing is this section of tools right here that actually edit some things, and I'm going to skip that for now and we'll come back to it. This at the bottom is the pen tool. You can trace around things. There's a lot of functions you can do with this. It works differently than the select tool. The pen tool can be a selection, but it works in a different way. Again, as a beginner, you're probably not using the pen tool. The text tool, you might use the text tool. There's a few things you can do. You can make horizontal text just as if you're typing across the page. It's going to create a text box and you'll type in it. You can do a horizontal typing tool. Same thing, only as you type it goes up and down. Horizontal, I don't know if I said horizontal, vertical is what I meant. Horizontal typing mask tool is a different thing you're probably not going to use, but it allows you to do some more fancy things with your fonts. Same thing with the vertical mask tool. Just allows you to change the letters and the shape and colors and all that stuff of the letters in a different way and be a little more advanced. The next one is an arrow that it's the path selection, but you're probably not using that right away either because most of what you would use are the selection tools on the top. So we're not going to get into that. This next one allows you to draw shapes. And if you click under here, there's all sorts of shapes, rectangles and ellipses and polygons and lines and custom shapes. That's what it's for, making shapes. These next three tools you're not going to use until you get really fancy and start doing different things. So we're not going to cover those. And the last one is a zoom tool. You will use this all the time. You can also, if you click on it, you can see you can also just press the Z and it zooms in. These shortcut keys you're going to get used to. The more you zoom in, the closer it gets. And you can see I'm zoomed way in. If you want to zoom out, hold down the Option key, and it changes that plus sign to a little minus sign, and you can zoom back out. And we've pretty much covered the basics of what I wanted to cover in this first video on the menu tool. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to be looking at this section here where we actually get to edit some things using these tools.